This is Practical Team Assignment 1 by Ethan Way. So first up we have the rules of football. So we have timing. A match lasts for 2 equal halves of 45 minutes. This time can only be reduced if agreed between the referee and the two teams before the start of the match. There's also a halftime interval. So players are entitled to an interval at halftime which can't exceed 15 minutes. And also a short drinks break which can't exceed 1 minute is permitted during the interval of half time, which is like inside of extra time. So these competition rules must state the duration of the half time interval, and it can also be altered with the referee's permission. So an example of that could be if it's in really, really hot weather and it's not safe for the players to have just a 1 minute break, they might need a little bit longer, then they can ask the referee's permission and it might be allowed. There's also an allowance for time lost. So like time loss can be due to substitutions, like players getting injured, time wasting, or disciplinary sanctions. So with this, the fourth official will indicate the minimum additional time that will be decided by the referee at the end of the final minute of each half. So the additional time may be increased by the referee, but it can't be reduced. So if something else happens during the extra time, then they can add on to it, but it can't be reduced. Next, we have scoring. So a goal is scored when the whole ball passes over the goal line, and it must be between the goalpost and under the crossbar, and it also must provide that no offence has been committed by the team scoring the goal prior to the goal being scored. The winning team is the team that has the greater number of goals. If both teams don't score any goals or it has an equal number, then the match will be determined a draw. And also, when the competition rules require a winner after a draw match, so this could be like in like either knockout stages of a cup, or it could be the semi-final or the quarter-final or even the final. It goes down to different rules. So there's the away goal rule, which is where whoever has the most away goals wins the game. Or it will go to 2 equal periods of extra time, which won't exceed 15 minutes. Or if there's still no decision after that, it will go to penalty kicks. And as the officials, so each match is controlled by a referee who has full authority to enforce the laws of the game. Decisions will be made to the best of the referee's ability and also abiding to the laws and the spirit of the game. The decisions of the referee and all other match officials are final, and they must always be respected by the players. The referee may not change or restart. The referee may not change a restart decision when realizing that is incorrect, or on the advice of another match official if players restarted or the referee has signalled the end of the first or second half. So if a team has scored a goal and later on in the game the referee realizes that the goal shouldn't have counted, they can't take the goal away. Now we have powers and duties of the referee. So the referee the main roles of the referee is to enforce the laws of the game. They control the match in cooperation with the other match officials. They act as a timekeeper, so they keep a record of the match and also provides an appropriate match report to authorities if they need to be. So this will also include information on disciplinary actions and any other incidents that might have occurred before, during, or after the match. And they also supervise and indicate the restart of play. There's also video assistant referees, also known as VAR. So the use of video assistant referees is only allowed where the match organizer successfully fulfilled all of the VAR protocol and implementation requirements, and has also received a written permission from the IFAB and FIFA. The referee may only be assisted by VAR in the event of a clear or obvious error or in a serious missed incident. The match officials also include 2 assistant referees, a 4th official, 2 additional assistant referees, a reserve assistant referee, a video assistant referee, and at least an assistant VAR. Now we have squad size. So each team must play with a maximum of 11 players in their team. This must include one goalkeeper, and the match cannot start or continue if a team has fewer than 7 players. The number of substitutions is up to a maximum of 5, which may be used in any match played in an official competition that will be determined by FIFA. But this is different which includes like the first teams of clubs in the top division, and also in like international A teams. There's only there's a maximum of 3 substitutions. So the squad positions are a goalkeeper, right back, centre back, left back, centre mids, right mid, left mid, and strikers. There's many different variations of these positions, but it depends on the formation being played. So you could have 3 at the back if you wanted. Instead of having a left back and right back, you could have 3 centre backs, or you could have many. Like you could not have any wingers. You could play straight up through the middle and have more centre mids or CDMs and centre attacking mids. But it just really depends on what formation the team's playing. So when the ball is out of play, the ball must have fully passed over the goal line or the touch line on the ground or either in the air. The player must have been stopped by the referee, so they would have indicated whether the throw-in or the corner or the goal kick goes to which team. And if the ball touches the match official, it remains on the field and the team starts promising or attacking, or the ball goes directly into the goal, or the team in possession of the ball changes, then the play can be restarted with a drop ball, so that they don't gain any advantage over it hitting the referee, because that would be unfair against the opposing team. So the ball is in play. The ball's in play at all times, other than when it touches a match official, and when it rebounds off the goalpost, or the crossbar or the corner flag, and remains in the field of play. So it must be within the pitch to be in play. Now we'll have lastly is fouls. So a direct free kick will be awarded if a player commits any of the following offences on an opponent if the referee thinks it was intended in a malicious way. So it could be either charges, jumps at, kicks or attempts to kick, pushes, strikes or attempts to, tackles or challenges, trips or attempts to trip, a handball offence, which is except for the goalkeeper if they're within their penalty area, holds an opponent, impedes an opponent with contact, bites or spits, throws an object at all. So this could be a water bottle or whatever. They could throw anything at them. They could either throw that at an opponent, match official, or they make contact with the ball with a held object. So if an offence involves contact, it's penalised with a direct free kick or penalty. If it would be a penalty if it was inside the penalty area of the goal you're attacking. So next we'll have regulations of football. So we'll have the play-in area. So the dimensions of the pitch is the touch line must be longer than the goal line to make the rectangular shape of the pitch. Otherwise, you'd be playing on a different size pitch, like a square or something like that. So the length of the touch line must be a minimum of 90 meters, a maximum of 120 meters. And the length of the goal line must be a minimum of 45 meters and a maximum of 90 meters. The pitch is also split up into different zones, as these zones are the penalty area, which is the zone where the keeper is allowed to handle the ball and no player is allowed to commit a foul, otherwise a penalty will be awarded. The corner area, so this is where the corner kicks are taken and the ball must be inside the zone for the corner to be legal, and also the goal area. The equipment that's needed by the players, the compulsory equipment for the players is a shirt with sleeves, shorts, socks, or tape, which can be any material applied or worn externally. It must be the same color as that part of the So next would be shin guards. These must be made out of a suitable material and provide reasonable protection and must be covered by the footwear, covered by the socks, sorry. And also you must wear reasonable footwear that's suitable for the match. There's 3 scenarios. So a scenario in football would be when a throw-in is rewarded, and if you're running with the ball and you get tackled, however the ball comes off of your leg last before the ball leaves the field of play via the touchline, then a throw would be awarded to the opponent's team because the ball touched you last. So this is also valid for when the ball goes out via the goal line. It would be a corner awarded, a corner or a goal kick awarded to the opposing team. So basically, if the ball comes off of you last and goes out of play, then the opposing team get a throw in. This is because basically you could, if the throw went to you, or the corner went to you, or the goal kick went to you, you could basically just kick the ball out of play all the time. So you could score 1 goal and then kick the ball out of play all the time, and just keep on doing that back and forward for the remainder of the game, which would make it really unfair and really boring to watch. The second scenario is if you attempt to tackle an opponent but you miss the ball and take out their legs, then you'll be penalised for tripping another player. You might also be given a yellow or red card, which is dependent on how many fouls you've committed already or the severity of the foul. So if you basically if you tackle someone with your stud showing and it's on their ankle, then you'll most likely be given a red card in most certain circumstances. But if the referee hasn't seen it right or they think it wasn't intended in a bad way, then you'll possibly get a yellow or not get a card at all. But the reason why this rule is in the game is because you can't just run around hacking everyone's legs off and making as many fouls as you want, because that would be unfair. And it also just make players think more. Obviously, if there was no penalty for doing it, then it makes them think more about like thinks more about doing it before they actually do it, to try and prevent them from it happening. And then the final scenario is if you shoot the ball and it fully crosses over the goal line and it is between the 2 posts and under the crossbar and no illegal play has happened before, then the goal will be awarded to your team because you've earned it by scoring a goal. So the regulations in football, the rules of basketball, the rules of basketball. So a charging foul is given when a player in defence is stationary with both feet on the floor and is charged into by a player in the offence. So this would just be running into them and knocking them over, because that's a foul. So when you're dribbling and you have the ball, you have your hand underneath the ball and lifting it up as you dribble, this would be called carrying, and you'll be penalised for this because you basically have more control over the ball and it makes it easier for you. The ball can travel in the court by either passing or dribbling, so you're not allowed to run with the ball in your hands or kick the ball or anything like that. It must either be passing or dribbling with the ball with your hands. So when dribbling, if you catch the ball with 2 hands, you can't dribble again, and if so, it's classed as double dribble. This is because basically you'd be able to just run with the ball in your hands, or you'd just be able to dribble and then stop, and then dribble again and then stop, dribble and stop, and it would just delay the game and ruin the tempo of the game. So there's 2 types of fouling, which is travel. There's not 2 types. There's different types of fouling. So there's travel, a double dribble, a reaching foul, and this all results in different punishments, such as a 1-on-1, which is where a player takes a 3 throw, and if it is made, they get another one, and if it isn't, then the ball goes straight back into live play when it rebounds. And these points are the points scored for the 3 throws are 1, so you have 1 point if you score a free throw. At the start of the game, the referee throws a ball up in the air between 2 players, and they must jump up and try and tip it to their team. So this initializes the game, and whoever gets possession of the ball after the tip carries on with play. So the two players have to stand in the centre of the court with one foot inside the centre circle. So a foul is committed if any sort of illegal contact is made, such as hitting, pushing, slapping, or holding, even if a limb is stuck out to stop the path of a defender and makes physical contact. Fouling out is where a player commits a certain amount of fouls and is sent off of the court. This happens when a player commits 5 fouls within a 40-minute period, and they are not allowed to play for the remainder of the game. This is because you can't just run around fouling everyone you want, because it will ruin the tempo of the game. It will make it less exciting and boring for the fans to watch. So a shot must be attempted, and also it must hit the rim within 24 seconds of play. So if it hasn't, then the opposing team are given the possession of the ball and they can just play on. The travelling is where a player takes more than 1.5 steps without dribbling with the ball, and is also not allowed because you could just run around with the ball in your hands and make it unfair, and it just defeats the object of the game. And there's also no such thing as a reaching foul. So if contact is made, it is either a handling foul or a pushing foul. And now we have the regulations and the 3 scenarios. So the regulations are 2 teams of 5 are needed to play. One is a point guard, which is usually the team leader. The second one is a shooting guard, which makes it more difficult for shots to be made, such as the 3-pointers. Number 3 is a small forward. This is a flexible position, and they do quite a bit of everything. 4 is a power forward, which is primarily a rebounder, and usually quite tall and has to be strong to go for the ball and compete for it. So they'll score quite a lot of the points. And number 5 is a centre, which is normally the tallest player on the team, and they're in the centre of the park, and they also a strong rebounder at both ends and a shot blocker, so they also score a lot of points for free throws, 3-pointers, and rebounds, and they also make a lot of defensive work with blocking shots because they're quite tall, and also rebounding to stop the players from retrieving the ball after shooting. So it's also played on a rectangular floor, which is called the court. There's a hoop at each end of the court, and the court is 28.5 meters long and is 15.2 meters wide. That is in the NBA law book. So the circumference of a men's basketball hoop is 30 inches and must not basketball hoop, just the basketball. A men's basketball is 30 inches in circumference, and it must be made out of 8 strips of rubber or leather. And a backcourt violation is where a team on offense has taken the ball over the halfway line and takes it back over the halfway line, and they can't do this when they have possession of the ball, because basically it forces them to go forward and try and get a point or try and score a hoop, because they could basically just run around the whole court and just run away from players to avoid getting tackled, which would just slow down the game completely and it would ruin it. A time restriction is valid when a player with the ball is under close contact and has held the ball for 5 seconds. So if he or she doesn't get rid of the ball within 5 seconds, the ball will be given to another team. And an unlimited amount of substitutions being made during the course of the game. However, these substitutions may only be made when the ball is dead and the clock has been stopped. So the scoring system is, if a basket is scored within the 3-point arc, it's worth 2 points. If a basket is scored from outside the 3-point arc, it is worth 3 points. And also a free throw is worth 1 point. And at the end of the game, whoever has the most points is the winner. So now we'll have the 3 scenarios in basketball. So a scenario would be if you're dribbling with the ball and you place your hand under it and lifting it up as you dribble, then you'll be charged with a carry-in and be penalised for it. This is basically because you can't just run with the ball and have your hand underneath it, because it gives you a lot more control over the ball, and it'll make it a lot harder for you to be tackled. The second one is if you're dribbling with the ball and you lose control of it, the only way you can regain control is by I'll start that one again. So the second scenario in basketball is if you're dribbling with the ball and you lose control of it, and the only way you can regain control is by placing two hands on the ball, then you won't be able to dribble the ball again, as is a class of double dribble. You can't do this because it will just completely slow the game down, and basically it will just ruin the tempo of the game, and it'll be boring. As if, like, for an example of this would be basically if you're in, say, the final sort of minutes of the game and you're winning by a few points, you can just dribble and then hold the ball and then dribble and then hold the ball, and it'll be really, really hard for you to get tackled or lose possession. So it basically just ruined the game. So the last scenario is if you were to commit 5 fouls in a short amount of time. So these can be shooting fouls or reaching fouls. Then you'd be charged with fouling out, where you'd be forced to leave the court, and this is where 5 fouls cannot be committed within a 40-minute game. This is basically because you can't just run around hitting everyone and ruining the game, as it would make it boring to watch, and it's also unfair on the opposing team. If they're losing, they have no chance of getting back in the game if you're just running around fouling as many people as you want. Thank you for listening.